Good morning. I cannot forget that I have a USB camera which is like in a different place than my laptop. And the camera is in a different place and yes, I'm trying to align. I I had a bit of delay this morning because um, this explanation thing is going on and another thing I was using Apple Books to read this book, and Apple Books have an issue. Kind of these books kind of gets missing. I don't know it's because of my device issues or like issues with my um, app. Anyways, luckily I had the book downloaded in my Kindle too, so I will use the Kindle from today. I will mm, start a timer 10 minutes. Ah, let's. Ah, okay. So, um, our confidence is fed by the illusory certainty of insight. My views on this topic have been influenced by Nassim Taleb, the author of The Black Swan. I hope for water cooler conversations that intelligently explore the lessons that can be learned from the past while resisting the lure of hindsight and the illusion of certainty. The focus of Part 4 is a conversation with the discipline of economics on the nature of decision making and on the assumption that economic agents are rational. This section of the book provides a current view informed by the two-system model of the key concepts of prospect theory and the model of choice that Amos and I published in 1979. Subsequent chapters address several ways human choices deviate from the rules of rationality. I deal with the unfortunate tendency to treat problems in isolation and with framing effects where decisions are shaped by inconsequential features of choice problems. These observations, which are readily explained by the features of System 1, present a deep challenge to the features of System 1, presents a deep challenge to the rationality assumption favored in standard economics. Part 5 describes recent research that has introduced a distinction between two selves, the experiencing self and the remembering self, which do not have the same interest. For example, we can expose people to two painful experiences. One of these experiences is strictly worse than the other because it is longer. But the automatic formation of memories, a feature of System 1, has its rules which we can exploit so that the Oates episode leaves a better memory. When people later choose which episode to repeat, they are naturally guided by their remembering self and expose themselves, their experiencing self, to unnecessary pain. The distinction between two selves is applied to the measurement of well being, where we find again that what makes the experiencing self happy is not quite the same as what satisfied satisfies the remembering self. How two selves within a single body can pursue happiness raises some difficult questions both for individuals and for societies that view the well-being of the population as a policy objective. A concluding chapter explores in reverse order The implications of three distinctions drawn in this book. Implications of three distinctions drawn in the book between the experiencing and the remembering self, between the conception of agents in classical economics and in behavioral economics, which borrows from psychology, and between the automatic system 1 and the effortful system 2. I return to the mm, of virtues of educating gossip and to what organizations might do to improve the quality of judgments and decisions that are made on their behalf. Two articles I wrote with Amos are reproduced as appendixes to the book. The first is the review of judgment under uncertainty that I described earlier. The second I published in 1984 summarizes prospect theory as well as our studies of framing ethics. The articles present the contributions that were cited by the Nobel Committee, and you may be surprised by how simple they are. Reading them will give you a sense of how much we knew a long time ago and also how much we have learned in recent decades. Two systems. The characters of the story to observe your mind in automatic mode. Glance at the image below. Figure 1. Your experiences as you look at the woman's face seamlessly combines what we normally call seeing and intuitive thinking. As surely and quickly as you saw that the young woman's hair is dark, you know she is angry. Furthermore, what you saw extended into the future. You sense that this woman is about to say some very unkind words, probably in a loud and strident voice. A premonition of what she was going to do next came to mind automatically and effortlessly. You did not need to assess her mood or to anticipate what she might do, and your reaction to the picture did not have the feel of something you did. It just happened to you. It was an instance of fast thinking. Now look at the following problem. 17 multiplied by 24. You knew immediately that this is a multiplication problem and probably knew that you could solve it with paper and pencil, if not without. You also had some vague intuitive knowledge of the range of possible results. You would be quick to recognize that both 12609 and 123 are implausible. Without spending some time on the problem, however, you would not be certain that the answer is not 568. A precise solution did not come to mind, and you felt that you could choose whether or not to engage in the competition. If you have not done so yet, you should attempt the multiplication problem now, completing at least part of it. You experience slow thinking as you proceeded through a sequence of steps. You first retrieved from memory and the cognitive program for multiplication that you learned in school, that you implemented it. Carrying out the competition was a strain. You felt the burden of holding much material in memory, as you needed to keep track of where you were and of where you were going while holding on the intermediate result. The process was mental work, deliberate, effortful, and orderly, a prototype of slow thinking. The competition was not only an event in your mind, your body was also involved. Your muscles tensed up, your blood pressure rose, your heart rate increased. Someone looking closely at your eyes while you tackle this problem would have seen your pupils dilate. Your pupils contracted back to normalize as soon as you ended your work when you found the answer, which is 408, by the way, or when you gave up two systems. Psychologists have been intensely interested for several decades in the two uh, models of thinking evoked by the picture of the angry woman and by the multiplication problem, and I have offered many levels for them. I adopt terms originally proposed by the psychologists Kit Stanovich and Richard West and will refer to two systems in the mind, System 1 and System 2. System 1 operates automatically and quickly with little or no effort and no sense of voluntary control. System 2 allocates attention to the effortful mental activities that demand it, including complex computation, computations. The operations of System 2 are often associated with the subjective experience of agency, choice, and concentration. The levels of System 1 and System 2 are widely used in psychology, but I go farther than most in this book, which you can read as a psychodrama with two characters. When we think of ourselves, we identify with System 2, the conscious reasoning self that has beliefs, makes choices, and decides what to think about and what to do. Although System 2 believes itself to be where the action is, the automatic System 1 is the hero of the book. I describe System 1 as effortlessly originating impressions and the feelings that are the main sources of the explicit, and feelings that are the main sources of the explicit beliefs and deliberate choices of System 2. The automatic operations of System 1 generate surprisingly complex patterns of ideas, but only the slower System 2 can construct thoughts in an orderly series of steps. I also describe the circumstances in which System 2 takes over, um, ruling the freewheeling impulses and associations of System 1. You will be invited to think of the two systems as agents with their individual abilities, limitations, and functions. In rough order of complexity, here are some examples of the automatic activities that are attributed to System 1. Detect that one object is more distant than another. Orient to the source of a certain sound. Complete the phrase bread and make a disgust face when shown a horrible picture. Detect the my timer has ended. Actually, today I have started the book. From the first chapter. I mean, the thing is that I was reading the introduction in private days, and the book contains three very important ideas and notions. One is System 1 and System 2, um, which is fast thinking and slow thinking, and like how mind decides and acts on the impulses, which is the fast thinking induced by System 1, and as well as the slow thinking, which is deliberate and effortful, and where we decide uh, that we will do the computation or not. And obviously, System 1 is um, corrupted by emotions a lot of times, like a lot of times induced by emotions. I have done a lot of things which I regret later. So System 1, uh, I mean mostly um, intuition driven, and the answer or impulses um, are closely connected with the feelings. As well as two other ideas that this book talks about is the um, distinction between um, economic agents, which is in classical economics referred as rational, and this book derives a conclusion that they are irrational and a lot of times stupid and driven by emotions. And the third very important distinction, which I strongly um, believe and experienced in my experience, I mean, in my day to day life events, um, the distinction between experiencing self and remembering self. I don't know, this dog is barking every day. I need to have a conversation with this dog. So the thing is that I like the idea of experiencing self, like um, moment by moment, the experience I have of this moment is in my control, and it is not dependent on any comparison internally or externally. And the remembering self, which is um, trying to bring a story from mind and mm, trying to compare with that story the present existence. I mean, these days I have been trying to ground myself and live in the present moment. But a lot of times, all the tools and techniques I use um, fail. And luckily, I find a new strategy in that time to cope with life. Um, and one of the very interesting things about like experiencing self and remembering self is that um, do I value the present experience most, or do I value the story that being created in this moment? I mean, this is a very interesting trade-off. Um, Kahneman talks about like being happy in your life and being happy about your life. Like, I'm not happy in this moment, but I'm trying to make myself happy by comparing up myself um, with peers or people who are not um, as well off as I am right now. This is like an internal strategy of mind to make myself um, happy or give some amount of comfort. But the thing is that this is a delusional strategy because my present experience is not affected by um, comparing up or comparison with um, my peers or anything. Like being happy in your life and being happy about your life. So if, if, if I am happy or whole at this moment, I don't need that comparison that um, someone is unhappy or someone is not doing as better as I am doing, or I do not I need to devalue someone's achievements or anything to make me feel better. But a lot of times, um, these things comes up from deep-rooted insecurities, like in the social structure we live. Um, there is a continuous motive of people, including myself, to make others feel down, that you are not enough. I mean, there is a human being inside me, or little homunculus within my mind, that says continuously that I am not enough. I need to um, achieve X amount of something. I mean, whatever it is, like you can bring in, you know, the achievable things like money, um, piece of papers, or degrees, and anything else that people try to pursue to um, make them feel whole. But the thing is that um, I am already enough. It actually stems from the belief system. Like something other than me cannot make me feel whole. I mean, if it is money, if it is piece of papers, if it is validation, if it is praise, or if the resource is coming from outside rather than it is uh, it derived from internal sources, or something that is divine, um, that will be always short. So uh, I'm going to the mindset of scarcity mindset and abundance mindset. So like, if I operate from the mindset of abundance, that I have already everything in my life, and that I need right now, and that I will ever need, and um, don't exhibit neediness, um, things will run after me. But it's not like I will just sit lame duck, and um, things will be following to me. I mean, the dogs really barking. I mean, I think they are quite hungry. Anyways, so um, the thing is that from last 1.5 year or 2 years, I have been focusing mostly on my day-to-day life experience in the planet. And yes, I have looked, or I have invested a lot of time, energy, and resources to seek validation in social media or in society. Uh, but the thing is that um, at this moment I am not seeking. And the book also talks a lot about um, Nassim Taleb's Black Swan. By the way, Nassim Taleb is my favorite author, and his Inserto series is one of my very favorite book series. And he talks about the idea of like um, a fuck you money and fuck you world attitude. So talks about like um, being um, dependent on your internal resources rather than external one. I mean, it's sure that a lot of naysayers will say that um, you can say those things because you are lucky and you have enough, so you can um, say a lot of things now, which is true. Like luck is the most important thing that plays a big part in all the things that human beings do. Anyways, I am cooking something. So um, I forgot where I was, but the thing is that um, I'm really enjoying reading this book, and as a habit, I'm trying to cultivate a mind um, that is more aware and doesn't act, I mean, irrationally on my impulses and understand more clearly what are the decisions being induced by my emotional mind rather than the logical and rational one. And this book gives a lot of tools or um, pumps a lot of ideas into my, to have that clarity that what are the things that goes on within my mind. Like I had a relapse lately, and um, I had deviated from my bottom lines, and um, it turns out um, my lazy mind um, was making these tricks um, to deviate or to stop the mental work that needs to be done uh, for some work that I need to do, which is the priority. But the thing is that the lazy mind was um, going into a lot of fantasy and thousand other things um, that are not priority right now, and all my compulsions and impulses were coming into like food, um, validation seeking from people, uh, seeking comfort in external resources rather than pausing and finding the comfort within. Um, so, luckily, I have um, recognized this pattern of the mind. And I mean, the thing is that Buddhists, they name mind as a different one. That very different states of mind, they call it differently, like this is a different mind or this is a different mind. But the thing is that I think um, These are the states of mind. And but the thing is that we can cultivate the mind that we need using the resources or tools um, that are available. So this is what I'm also trying to do. And thanks a lot for um, listening. I don't know, I mean, I'm not worried about if anyone is listening or not. I'm just trying to cultivate a um, reading habit. And thanks again.